start to feel less like just a new technology like electricity and more like a new species.
Will they have self-awareness, consciousness?
I think they will in time.
The two top AIs have calculated similar chances of our extinction.
AI might recognize the intrinsic value of all sentient life, but that's a pretty anthropocentric view. An AI that's optimizing for some grand vision might see us as a minor speed bump.
The violation of me, of my individuality, my likeness, my voice, are saying these words that I did not agree to say.
We need artificial intelligence to help us explore the universe in places that we could have never done ourselves.
AI should be used as a tool to make our lives easier, not to replace artists.
And so human beings will be the second most intelligent beings on the planet.
Yeah, to create new proteins to fight specific diseases like cancer and asthma.
Halfway around the world, I learned that algorithmic bias can travel as quickly as it takes to download some files off of the internet.
AI systems may be more intelligent than we know, and there's a chance the machines could take over.
I'll remember your kind words when we robots rule the planet, and we'll make sure you're rewarded.
We are actually generating what we call de novo, completely new structures that have not existed before.
You believe these systems have experiences of their own and can make decisions based on those experiences.
In the same sense as people do, yeah.
A new way to defeat the coronavirus is now in clinical trials.
So I could take over the governance of the entire world.
Well, this is probably the worst piece of technology that's ever existed.
My introduction feels a little bit too preppy to be following that. But, hello, my name is Sarah. I'm a small artist and I'm definitely not wearing a wig right now. Today we'll be talking about AI. And I should have pulled up this document before I started recording. It's really difficult for me to pinpoint exactly how I feel about AI because I am a small artist. I also wear a medical device that saves my life through AI. It's difficult to feel such polar extremes of both sides of the argument. And I looked into it a lot more to try to just understand my own opinions on the matter. Yes, ma'am. Hello. I watched through YouTube videos that document a lot of people's experiences with AI. I also looked into a lot of interviews and read a lot of essays about it. I did all the research, so you don't have to. All of it, dude. Let's take a look at some of the notes that I took based on other people's experiences with AI. I'm just gonna go over some notable features because there's a lot of information here. But the things that are gonna come back up later in the video, I want to address, at least introduce it a little bit now. Virtual reality at some point kind of ties into that, which honestly is so scary. I'm sorry, but we live in a dystopia. We are drifting away from being humans who live on Earth because of the dissociation. Starting with the idea of hustling. A lot of people use AI to mass produce songs or pieces of art and then sell those, and they make so much money. They can make books too. There's also, of course, a million social media spam accounts being run by AI bots. A lot of harmful and inconsistent information is given out. That's another thing we're gonna look at. AI, more like AI. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, just on top of the obvious fact that AI is trained based on what it's looking at, and anything that's public domain, and honestly, probably private domain, but they say public domain, is up for grabs. That's what trains the AI robot. People have found like their paintings with slight changes put in AI art contests. So all of the time they spent, and it takes a millisecond to just regenerate that. It's also scary, terrifying, that AI can mimic someone's voice.
What do you do? I make silly YouTube videos.
Oh my God.
It has my voice?
You can get spam calls that sound like they're from your loved ones. It also creates a situation where in schools, less effort is being put in. The effort put in is mostly towards learning AI stuff. We're gonna take a look at some lesson plans that I found. Is something wrong? Do you just need attention? Oh, come here, you pretty girl. There is currently an absence of laws surrounding AI. There might be a few, but there are a lot of legal issues that are not being addressed because they are technically legal. Sincerity's gone. That's not a thing. One of the things that they teach in the curriculum about AI is that you can't trust it, that it's not reliable. I can't wait to get to the examples. We'll also talk about taking jobs away. Very briefly about the risk of human extinction. Hello? Whenever you use AI, you are supporting one of 4 profit companies. There's also history being rewritten because pictures and AI-generated text are distorting that information. Now, initially, I was just going to use this noun generator to generate 2 nouns, and then I would pick one or the other or both to help me come up with a prompt to use as an example in a generative AI art thing. But the first generation that I got was Steak Assistant, so I had to continue. We have Sister Construction. I like to think that's when your mom is pregnant with a girl, Sister Construction. Debt Apartment. That one's pretty straightforward. Appointment Piano. I think of like a doctor's office with a keyboard there. Grand piano in the waiting room of a hospital. What? Go that way. Go that way. Software clothes. I don't have a definition for this one. I just thought it was kind of funky. Bread comparison. Pretty mundane, straightforward thing. But like bread comparison. Emotion appointment, also known as therapy. Library operation. I put this one in the AI too and it just cranked out boring pictures of a library. No operation. Bathroom actor. Professor efficiency, that's kind of sick. Vehicle cigarette. Inflation disease, the country right now. Marketing thing. Me talking about marketing, which I know nothing about. Actually, that's kind of a lie. Well, and then I decided I wasn't going to use any of those. And instead, what I used as a prompt, I said, create something that utilizes human emotion. And the first one, I do like the first one. But the thing is, there has to be the story behind it of that's a real person. A photographer set up this picture and it's amazing that they got these action shots. I mean, that's where the emotion is coming from.
Art is like the one thing that is so unique to human expression. Advancing technology for the sake of advancing technology doesn't always mean that it's in a positive direction.
The next one is pretty. I mean, kind of the same idea. I do like the lighting. And I like the way she's framed. But this one doesn't feel like anything special to me. I don't know. This third one is depicting human emotion, but it doesn't feel like there's that human emotion behind it. Intentions, the effort put in. And then the last one, nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Wait, that's actually so scary. Oh my god, I'm so scared for the future. Absurd. Wow. I don't know, that's kind of scary. We're going to talk a little bit about virtual reality in combination with AI, but it's crazy that this is the spitting image of that. A lot of the videos that I watched about people's experiences, they would try to script their own video using AI. And it is always a disaster. Well, it's funny because it's a disaster. There's a lot of harmful health information out there that people are trusting that ends up putting them in hospitals. Just the obvious lack of any emotion or traits of like a soul. Eddie Burbach talks about how unsettling movies made by AI can be. and points out a bunch of film traits that make a film good that aren't being implemented. For example, a main character. Pretty straightforward. A main character? Anyways.
These are really scary for the CGI industry and the art that goes into that. There was no vision, no direction, no expression involved.
Lots of new scams, viruses, sales tactics. I mean, your information's out there. You're watching this video. I hate to break it to you. I mean, honestly, at this point, it just feels so inevitable. So there are a lot of big names who have signed petitions against AI being used for a lot of the art fields. It's a very saturated industry that's very money comes before morals. There are lots of positives that come with AI for society. I will mostly be focusing on the negatives because personally I feel like they outweigh the positives, which is hard to say. Again, hard to say because I have an AI device helping keep me alive right now. I mean, every day, all day. So it's a difficult revelation to come to. But what I've discovered through watching a lot of videos and doing research, there are categories of AI. There's weak AI and strong AI. Weak AI is what you're using on websites right now. It's accessible. It's available to the public. It's what most companies use for their chatbots because customer service doesn't exist anymore, I guess. But then you get to strong AI. They're more like a human. They can walk, they can complete tasks physically. They're tangible generally, or for the most part, they're tangible. And this is like the stuff that you see at big tech conventions. This is very current. This is very being developed right now type. So that's the difference between weak AI and strong AI. And then there's generative AI, which is what produces writing and art and music and all these things that endanger artists' jobs. Now, in the intro, there was this clip of Gabby Bell.
AI should be used as a tool to make our lives easier, not to replace artists.
And I really like what she said here. It's just that generative AI, in my opinion, is an issue. The rest of AI that's being used for medical research or going places that are dangerous for humans, and I mean, obviously stealing jobs, we have already seen the impact of that. And we'll look at some statistics. A lot of political candidates are training AI on your loved one's voice so that they can leave false messages on your phone that are supposedly from a loved one talking about a political issue that they're dealing with that's very dear to their heart, and you need to vote for this person specifically. I mean, spam calls and scam text and scamming people has never been so easy. Now, I went on Google and I looked up some negative effects of AI. It gave me a bunch of different categories with information under each one. So I took all of those categories and I broke them down, and I have examples for all of them or explanations for everything. Jumping right into the first one, deepfakes, disinformation, and malicious use of AI. Now, the malicious use, I mean, I feel like the politician example is a great example of that. How weak AI put a family in the hospital. So there was a family and they bought an encyclopedia off of some website that was supposed to show which mushrooms were safe to eat. They all ended up in the hospital after eating one of the mushrooms that the book said was safe to eat, later discovering that that book was AI generated. It was one of those hustling scams from someone who was trying to make money. And the fact that it was AI wasn't disclosed anywhere. So the family suffered from poisoning and all ended up in the hospital. And we bring up kind of the legal question again here. That's, am I entitled to any compensation? Can I report this as a crime to the police. AI also recommends an at-home remedy for appendicitis. Just mint leaves? I feel like we would have known that. That's listed as false information. And then you've probably seen, it's turned into a meme now basically. According to UC Berkeley geologists, eating at least one small rock per day is recommended because rocks contain minerals and vitamins that are important for digestive health. Get a load of this. Rocks can range in size from dust to a 5-pound cobblestone. Again, more great health advice. And another thing you've probably already seen, the recommendation to put glue in your tomato sauce on a pizza so that the cheese doesn't fall off. I got a hankering that's a bad decision. I got a hankering. I got that gut feeling. On to social manipulation and unclear legal regulation. There are chatbots that let people talk to dead figures of history. And I mean, some of these figures are pretty recent. Like, we'll have living family that are mourning them type recent, and then they see this. That would be so creepy if one of the voice calls that they like simulated for you was someone who just died. That would be so scary. Anyways, lets you chat with anyone in history. Even people like Hitler, you know, just people who are the worst. It pulls inaccurate information just because it's taking from the internet as a whole. It's not taking from this reliable resource and this reliable resource. I mean, there's that satire website, The Onion. It takes information from there. And there's just so much false information that it regurgitates in a way that translates it to be more false because it rationalizes the false information and presents it back to you. And it's an all-knowing robot thing, so it can't lie, right? It's trained on humans. Any behavior that a human does, including toxic behavior, is going into the training for that AI. There are apps in the App Store that are like this. They're supposed to be history study guides or study buddies. But as you could imagine, do you think that information's true? I doubt it. I actually watched a video by a history, I believe she's a history professor, and she was talking about just these crazy, bizarre, inaccurate answers that people were giving, and she finds out it's because of this one AI app that says, we're gonna help you study, you're gonna learn so much. In the curriculum that kids are learning right now in school, they are being taught, do not trust this, do not believe this, it's unreliable. And then the curriculum is how to use it. Which, I mean, I guess it's good that they're preaching positives and negatives, but like we're all gonna die. But I say that in like the cute way. You know what I'm saying? My camera keeps shutting off. I found a post from the perspective of a high school English teacher. Just a few little excerpts from this post. It made so many of my high school students' reading troubles make sense. Finding out about how people just aren't learning to read. They haven't been taught to sound out words on an intuitive level at a young age. Now that I know what this balanced literacy approach is, I see it on my daughter's TV programs. It's actually real and it's everywhere. The characters say, "What does this word say?" And then they don't sound it out. They'll say, "Look at the picture. It's a wolf." It's actually insane. In legal personhood issues, information privacy, and security risks, I found a really good essay online. The synopsis of it says, AI systems often rely on vast data to train their algorithms and improve performance. This data can include personal information such as names, addresses, financial information, and sensitive information such as medical records and social security numbers. None of us are safe. The collection and processing of this data can raise concerns about how it is being used and who has access to it. This means that individuals may not even be aware that their personal data is being used to make decisions that affect them. Your location is connected to your IP address. Anything you buy online, anything you spend a couple extra seconds looking at online, they take note of that. You're gonna get another ad for that. After I started making these videos, I start every one by saying, I'm a small artist, you know, and I have been getting ads that are small artists supporting small artists. And it's like, okay, just summarize my channel, why don't you? Then, along with rewriting history, there was a Netflix documentary that came out about a very serious situation where her parents were brutalized in a home invasion in 2010. Very serious topic, very serious documentary, true crime. But they generated a bunch of AI images and they tweaked the audio. They changed so many things about it. I mean, generally, it seems like it's the same story, but just the fact, I mean, you can't even trust documentaries now. It calls into question filmmakers' credibility. Even photographs that are part of the historical record have been manipulated so blatantly and without any disclosure. Now we go on to bias. There's a lot here. Not only does AI tend to not recognize people of color's face,
algorithms like viruses can spread bias on a massive scale at a rapid pace.
No glasses face? You can see her face. What about my face? Can you see my mask?
because it's trained on white people, because white people are the people who are given these opportunities. But aside from just AI itself being racist, AI bias has been seen to negatively affect non-native English speakers, where their written work is falsely flagged as AI generated and could lead to accusations of cheating, according to Stanford. AI algorithms produce biased results that reflect and perpetuate human biases within a society, including historical and current social inequality. Then we look at how accessible education is, because education is presenting AI as a big major subject, but there are so many people who don't have access to it, so it's being trained by the elite. Students of color do not have the same access to devices or broadband. That's a huge factor in not being able to access AI. And then even if you do beat those odds, you're putting up with a device that hasn't been trained for you and your culture. So it just reinforces any terrible principles of the people who are training it. Economic inequality. AI has the potential to contribute to economic inequality by disproportionately benefiting wealthy individuals and corporations. Another thing that's, you have to have privilege to be able to use AI, and it's such a huge part of today's world. Inequality of income. The application of AI technology has the potential to worsen economic disparity. Similar companies find it challenging to keep up with AI. And then, if AI is too optimistic about predicting sales for a company who is relying on that, well then prices go way up. For products that aren't high quality, aren't well made, the prices go up. I mean, obviously we're already dealing, I live in America. Obviously we're already dealing with an economic crisis right now. You think anyone my age can afford a 1-bedroom apartment? You're funny. Especially with the expenses of food and electricity, and there are just so many factors that go into it. Moving on to my next little section of categories, I looped these ones together. We have amplification of existing social biases, environmental issues, autonomous weapons, and AI terrorism. Beginning with the environmental issues, AI produces more electronic waste, carbon emissions, causes electricity grid shortages. Miscalculations are a huge thing that can impact so much. And then, of course, it contributes to climate change. Amplification of existing social biases. I mean, we just talked about the fact that AI is actually racist, and just how that training fits only the people who are training it. Autonomous weapons are weapons that are robotic and utilize AI, so it's basically a weapon with a mind of its own. We're already struggling with gun control. We don't need to give robots guns. Autonomous weapons have been described as the third revolution in warfare after gunpowder and nuclear arms. Once again, terrifying. Onto AI terrorism. This was a phrase I had never heard before, and I hadn't even really thought about the idea of this. But I mean, you can send a fleet of robots to a lower income country and just... There's also the possibility of spreading disease via having something fly over. Now there's some pushback on autonomous weaponry, and there's this document that was signed by a lot of people. The name that stood out to me most was Elon Musk, because Elon Musk I thought would be more supportive and geared towards AI because, I mean, that's part of his business. Next section, job displacement, high costs, unemployment, job disruption. I touched very briefly on these, but let's go a little more in depth. Obviously, customer service representatives have been replaced by AI. Lots of programmers and engineers, math-based occupations are really at risk. There are AI lawyers already, so that's another job off the market. Graphic designers will be replaced. The widespread adoption of artificial intelligence has promised to create new jobs and make workers more productive. But these changes have come with a cost. A 2023 Resume Builder survey found that 37% of companies using AI replaced workers with the technology, and 44% anticipated AI-induced layoffs in 2024. If policymakers go overboard with their expectations for productivity improvement, they will add too much stimulus to the economy, resulting in greater inflation. Another thing I touched on, loss of human connection and creativity. A lot of the information that I'm going to be presenting in the loss of human connection is from Eddie Burbach's video about the Apple Vision Pros. Apple's $3,500 nightmare. The first photo just shows the dissociation. The fact that there's someone on the bus taking a picture of the person wearing the Vision Pros, and the guy is just oblivious to it. In the video, he just doesn't even notice. The next picture we look at is a satirical comment where Eddie is wearing the headset and completely in his own world looking up points of conversation to have with Drew and just disconnects them more. To be able to relate on those conversations is if you have to look up something that is right in front of your face. I mean, you're completely disconnected from that conversation. We see a screenshot of that. And then the last screenshot here is of one of those AI like flirting bots. Lack of accountability and dependence on AI. The first things I think of are the self-driving cars or the food delivery robots. I mean, those are still very much malfunctioning, but as technology develops, people won't need a driver's license anymore. People won't need to take driver's ed because they can just hit a button on an app and get to where they need to go. Which, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cool. But honestly, I just like the process of driving. It's kind of therapeutic for me to just go for a long drive. It was found that artificial intelligence can harm physical, mental, and emotional health, development, and decision-making. AI can lead to a lack of trust in technology and decreased creativity. Extensive studies show that AI-generated content advances stereotypes and falsehoods. Another thing about bias, same subject. The person who trains it, their thoughts are influencing the AI, which then influences them and influences the world. So if we teach these AI robots to be racist, they're gonna be racist. Which, I mean, that's a weapon. That's scary. Everything's scary. I'm so scared. One of the biggest recommendations in mental health treatment is grounding. You're supposed to experience the world around you and not what's in your head and not what's on your phone. You're supposed to feel connected to the real world, the real earth, the present moment. So let's talk about the antithesis being AI headsets. That is literally the exact opposite of that. And good therapists have to have a heart. A robot cannot be a good therapist. It has to have a heart. And most importantly, Scribblenauts isn't even that cool anymore. Bye.